Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. Well, if you've watched any legal shows on TV or you've gone to the movies and seen legal shows, sometimes they're realistic and sometimes they're far-fetched. 2 people who know the inner workings of a courtroom are my next guests, Amanda Slyter and Keith Slyter, husband and wife team.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys have worked on some amazing cases.
We have.
Yes, we have.
Very interesting cases.
Well, let's start with you, Keith, because your background is you had 500 trials that you worked on before you even started your firm.
That is correct.
And
So in 2011, I was approached by several attorneys that I had worked for, and they knew the value I could bring to their trials going forward. And at that point, I had looked back at all of my cases, and it was over 500 trials, jury trials that I'd worked.
Is it more fun as a consultant than it is actually the person trying the case?
Absolutely. 100%.
Because you can always say, well, that's not the way I would have done it.
Right. Exactly.
All right, Amanda, let's bring you in. Tell us, because you're a paralegal?
Paralegal and,
Okay.
and yes,
And
consultant as well.
and you're helping guide the process from soup to nuts, beginning to end.
Yes, that is correct. Coming in closer to the end of discovery and bringing it all the way through trial.
Okay. Tell us why a law firm might need to hire you guys.
Well, for us, it's more about case development. It is about just kind of getting everything in order. You want to prepare a case as if you're going to take it to trial or arbitration or whatever. So you want to focus on the facts that you have, the documents that you have. You want to make sure that these discovery files are completely organized. You know what these documents are. That will help you decide whether you're going to settle a case or plea out, or if it's going to the next step. So bringing me in particular, I will help go through all of that, and we get to kind of like do this case analysis and see what we need to do with this. How does this look? Does this help us? Does this hurt us, or whatnot?
Keith, you were talking before we went on about storytelling. It's so important to have a story.
Absolutely. Storytelling is very important. You want it to be clear, concise, and compelling. Most lawyers get stuck on my website, I talk about, seeing the forest for the trees. They get stuck talking about every single tree in the forest and never tell the story about the forest. And it's so important to take a step back and get that 30,000 foot view so that you see what the story is, and then condensing it down to the facts that actually matter.
Yes, I mentioned that you've worked on some really super high profile cases, including John Wiley Price. So let's go ahead and show that video of him walking into the courtroom and talk about that one, Keith.
That was an interesting trial. I was approached 3 times by Judge Lynn and her staff to help out on the defense of John Wiley Price. My only caveat was that I wanted to interview him before I decided to take the case. I interviewed him and I wanted to take the case. I reviewed the indictment and I thought, well, the things in here, I think we can prove that you did not do that, or the government cannot prove that you did these things, and we can put up a good defense on that. And it was my first high-profile criminal trial that I had done. I had done other criminal trials, but not that high profile.
Do you feel a lot of pressure when the media is watching this? I mean, you go home and you're watching the 10 o'clock news.
Yeah.
What does that feel like?
Initially, it was a little nerve-wracking, but after that whole process, it was about a 6-week trial. I'm sorry, it was more than that. It's almost a 6-month trial. It became less and less anxiety-ridden as time went on. and you learn to deal with the media as they were, following you out to your car or going back to the office.
Yes.
That
I think I was more nervous. Looking at every car that passed by the house and just, okay, there's that person over there in the store that keeps staring at me.
Right. And okay, if that wasn't enough pressure, Amber Geiger. Amanda, why don't you talk about that one?
So we were approached a couple of different times for that case in particular. And we were in a trial down in Houston at that time. And so a mutual connection of ours that worked the case reached out. And so at first we were like, I'm not sure. But yeah, once we got on it, this was a tough case.
And that moment right there, everybody remembers that.
Everybody remembers that moment. It was really tough because, just the whole setup, it was already, I feel like it was already a predetermined case. It's nothing that you could have done any differently other than move it to a different court. But everybody gave it their best.
Do you guys get personally invested? I mean, it would
we
be hard
did in
not
that
to.
case.
That case we did. Unfortunately, we tried to keep our, emotions out of work just because it's kind of what you need to do in the legal field when you're working criminal cases. But we were kind of, it affected us personally with that one. It was really, really tough.
After that case, I was jokingly telling people, I've never cried at a patent trial.
Yeah.
But in this trial, I cried twice.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it was a really tough case. So.
Well, and you're a husband and wife team, a dynamic duo.
Yes.
Keith, tell me what Amanda's brilliance is.
Amanda's brilliance is really coming into a case early on and developing that case so that when we get ready to go to trial, we're actually ready to go to trial. She doesn't, a lot of times when we get these cases at the last minute, they're not ready. The exhibits are a mess. They don't know their story. They don't know how they're going to support their story with facts, with relevant facts. But Amanda can come in and she kind of hones all of that information and the facts. She puts it into like a funnel, distills it down, and then she's able to bring it so that when we're ready to go to trial, we have our story. We have our facts to support our story. And then I can work on the presentation and theme development. And it helps us in picking a jury. Everything goes smoother. Without her involved, it doesn't always go smooth.
All right, I'm going to ask
Trying
Amanda.
to keep the ducks in a row.
I'm going to ask you the same question about Keith. What is his genius?
His experience, just before he and I met, he had so much experience with, over 500 trials or whatnot. So he's able to give different perspectives as well. And that is helpful to put both of our backgrounds together. And he can relate to almost any case or I would say every case that we work, because he's already experienced some part of the case elsewhere.
Yeah, we only have about a minute left, and I know a lot of lawyers watch this show. Many lawyers probably don't even know you exist, that there is such a service. How does one know when they need to bring you guys in?
Let's see, when you're getting ready for trial and you're going, I just, what do I need to do? I just feel like I just can't get everything together or just overwhelmed or, I think at any point when you're getting ready for trial or even into the pretrial.
So one of my favorite lawyers says, if you want to win the case, bring sliders in.
Yes, that's the go-to.
I love it. We're going to end with your website, which is litigationparalegals.net. You have been an amazing husband-wife team. We're going to have you back.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you
Look
so
forward
much.
to it.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.